We're concluding a short three-part series on housing by making a trip down to Bennington, where the former Bennington High School building, which last served as the Mount Anthony Union Middle School until 2004, has sat vacant since then. But plans are well underway to convert this 100,000 square foot historic building, first constructed in 1913 and renovated 3 times since then, in 1939, 1958, and 1975, into a 39-unit housing development, along with a senior center, a site for Meals on Wheels, and a general community center with gym and recreational facilities, along with commercial space. It's a big, complicated project, and the price tag for doing it all has grown to about $50 million. Pulling together the range of funding sources for it has been challenging. In August of 2022, the town of Bennington entered into an agreement with Hale Resources, LLC, to begin pre-development work for the 70,000 square feet of potential residential space in the building. In October 2022, the Bennington Select Board committed $2 million in local ARPA funding to the Ben High redevelopment. The town's ARPA funding will be used to fit up the town's spaces in the Ben High building. So to learn more about this remarkable repurposing of a former school building, we met up with Mike Cutler, our friend and colleague from CAT-TV in Bennington, and who attended school here back when it was a middle school and was in the last 8th grade class here in 2004, and with Zach Hale of Hale Resources, who will be overseeing the rehabbing of the building. We started out on a snowy day outside the building for the big picture look.
There's this kink right here in the building. And so from that kink on is all 1913 section of the building. And then there was an addition in 1939 that is from the kink back. And also some 1958 back there as well. But the 1958 was actually the first floor of this wing right here too. And then the 1975 section was all built, is the green of the building right there. So, and you can see that there's structure on the exterior of the 1958 section because they never anticipated building that second story. And so they actually have that second story that's straddling the 1958 section. And then also, if we're looking at the building from this angle, you see this detail that's like pushes out all of the concrete there. It's about 4 feet up on the building. So that trim piece there, that is also the height of our design flood elevation. And so basically this building is getting flood proofed up to that area right there. And so as you can see, we have all these windows right here. So some of them are going to be infilled, but because we're using the space down there and we need the natural light, we're actually having to put an aquarium glass on the outside so that if we have 4 feet of water out here, the water doesn't get in and also can take impact from like a tree or something. So there was a lot of effort put into designing this building so that it can withstand that 4 feet of water. So we're reinforcing walls. We're putting an entire system below the building that relieves the pressure of the water in the ground so that it actually like pumps it out, basically like a bilge pump in a boat. And this is basically a 100,000 square foot boat that is in the middle of town. So it's been really cool to learn about all this stuff and design a building to like withstand something like that.
And then we headed inside, where Zach Hale took us on a walkthrough.
So this is that historic interpretation, and we'll come back to this space. I did just want to point out this ground floor level right here. So this is right in the courtyard area right here. So that's that ground floor entrance that we're looking at. And the elevators right behind you right here. And so this is going to be the main entrance for the childcare facility. The stairs are right there. This will also be the handicap accessible entrance for the entire building. There's an elevator stop that's right there, and then it comes up here for a half stop. It goes to the second floor. It also goes down to the ground floor. So this will also be handicap accessible for the stage area, and we're planning to put like a little elevator, a lift for the stage as well. So
yeah, cool.
So making our way back into 1913, this is a classroom that we're converting into an apartment. And so that's kind of the theme with the older portions of the building, is that we're really just taking the classrooms and we're going to make them into apartments, and we're keeping the walls where they're at and everything. So in this part, so 1913 section of the building, we actually are removing all of the plaster. This is asbestos containing, so we have to remove all of the plaster in the entire 1913 section, which has trade-offs with it. The building is going to be 100% electric, so it's going to have geothermal and solar on the roof, and so we need a tight envelope, and we're looking to get 6 inches of insulation. Some of the challenges of using all the funding sources that we have is like the historic tax credits, the Secretary of Interior Design standards say that we can't build out more than 4 inches from the original plane. And so we want 6 inches. And so by removing this stuff, we fix a couple issues. One of them being that we're losing those 2 inches and can build 6 inches out, and we have a net of 4. We also had issues with like the wood. If we spray foam, it's not gonna have the moisture. It won't be able to get like dry through the building because it'll have a vapor barrier, and so this will get moldy, and so we need to remove it for that reason anyway. And so there was a lot of thinking into what insulation we're going to use and like how we're going to meet the energy requirements of the state, and so this is what we ended up on. But then we're doing things like leaving the single pane glass window. So it's like everything kind of, trying to navigate through all of those sources is and requirements is a lot of thinking, and a lot of thought goes into it. We will have storms, so on the outside of the windows, so we'll at least have that. Some of the other historic features that are unique, especially as we were looking through designing it. So we'll have to leave the chalkboards in the older portions of the building. And then this is a rendering too of like, this will be the bedroom area here. And so you can see there's glass, the last 2 feet of the partition for the bedroom. And that is because when Historic Preservation wants you to and the National Park Service, when you walk into a space, you get the entire sense of the space. And so you can see like the trim all the way around. You could tell this was one room at one time. So we didn't have to do it with the bathrooms, and that's where we found we can put HVAC equipment, so kind of killing 2 birds with 1 stone there. But those are some of the unique features of doing the historic part. We're gonna go down to the ground floor now. Yeah, Mr. Turn.
Mr. Turn. Yep, this is it.
It doesn't surprise me that's in Mr. Turn's room.
It's still up there.
So originally the public meeting space was going to be the child care facility, and I was meeting with the CEO of the Berkshire Family YMCA and showing her the space to see if they'd be interested, and she said it doesn't have a ramp and it's not big enough and it doesn't work. And so she said, what else do you have? And we came down here, and this was all just going to be storage. And they were like, she was like, this is perfect. We should make this the child care facility. And so I never had that vision. But then as we were working on the design with the YMCA, we then went to their facility in Pittsfield, which they just did a very similar complex project to redevelop. And we did a tour of it with our architects so we could match some of the design. And then that's where I also learned about, this is their facility in Pittsfield, and this is where we're looking at right here, which is those outside windows, and they literally have a ground floor, they have ground floor space in their Pittsfield location. So that made a little bit more sense on how they had this vision when they came down here. So this is going to be school age, and I can show you a couple other things too. We talked about outside the glass on the exterior, on the windows for the aquarium glass for the flood proofing, and then this is just a little bit more detail on it's really our sub-slab depressurization system. So you can see these red lines in here. And so these are actually going to be perforated pipe that will be below this slab. And the thing what happens is that when you have 4 feet of water outside, you really have 4 feet of water above the ground and another 4 feet of water below the ground. And it creates an enormous amount of pressure around the building, and it really creates there's a buoyancy force, and it tries to lift the building out of the ground, just like if it was trying to float in the water, right? And so beneath the slab, it creates an enormous amount of pressure because it can't lift the building. And what then happens is it cracks the slab, and all the water rushes through the cracks in the slab. And so what this system is designed to do is the water will go into it, and then it'll go down into sub pumps that will then pump the water out, and it'll relieve that pressure so that we don't get a bunch of water in the building in a flooding event. And that's what it will serve as during flooding events. When it's not flooding, it'll serve as a sub-slab depressurization system to create a vacuum and suck any of the like hazardous, there's like the petroleum products in the ground and stuff. And so it'll take those vapors, and instead of them coming through the ground and getting trapped in the building and building up, it'll suck them up through the building and push them out through the roof.
Are these sections of broken tile where the pipes would be, or is it just random?
So would this have been one of the locker rooms down here?
Yeah, this was the girls' locker room right here. Yeah, yeah. That's right, yep. And it actually says girls on this entrance and boys on that, yeah.
Right, of course.
Yep. But yeah, this is these like crazy showers. That would have been cool.
Getting a new middle school built took about 10 years off his life, I think.
Yeah, yeah. I've heard about some of it. Yeah.
Oh, craziness. The gym.
The gym. Yeah, we can go right in. The math was here. Oh wow.
It's actually the room where I found out 9/11 was happening.
Oh wow. I remember I was in first grade.
So here's a personal story for you.
So this is the gym, and this is going to be pickleball, volleyball, basketball, and then there'll be a 3-lane walking track around it, and right over there will be some bleachers. So.
Yeah, that's where the bleachers used to be over there.
Yep. Yeah, I've seen some old pictures of it, and there used to be windows, and that probably was the case when you were here because that was before the 75 edition.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very cool. Which we're about to start, yeah, so 58. So 58 was here, the first floor, and this back section here. Over in that corner right there, that's where the entrance will actually be to this space, and the locker room will be on the other side of this wall. And this is the locker room space here. So we'll walk into it now, but I'll just show that it's not a typical locker room, the way the Y has been moving in a direction of just like non-gender specific locker rooms, or really even big giant spaces that have no security. So these will be just like, it's kind of part of the hallway. There'll be benches, and then there's just small little rooms with for like bathrooms and changing and stuff that you'd go into instead. So in showers is the space where the locker rooms would be. So this is the first time that we're going to walk into the LITEC space. So through this door, the stair towers are LITEC. And this has been an interesting experience too, because you have to have residential space that exits the building above the flood elevation. So we would have needed to like take the door that's in here and made it and raised it, but we had stairs in the way. And so we were like, oh, we'll just have stairs that come out on the second space here. But then we learned actually we can make this wet flood proofed, and we can take a floodgate and put it here so that the water actually can come into this space and it will be then the residential units will be able to walk down the stairs, and then they'll have to wade through the water to get out of the building, which, you know, if they have to wade through water if they got out of the building and there was a flood anyway. So, so that was another creative way that we found. And these are all like details that we have to talk to several people to like see if that's compliant and does it meet code. And so there was.
So all of what you're saying strikes me as there's a lot of explanation as to why converting buildings that were originally built for one purpose, like a commercial or a school in this case, it costs a lot of money to convert them over to residential. I mean, office spaces.
And also, and not just convert, right? Like if this was a residential building, we'd run into some of these challenges. But I guess, yeah, because if this was all commercial space still, we wouldn't have to face these challenges. That's right, because the commercial space, we can just block the outside door because the assumption is if you know a flood's coming, you're not going to be in the space. And so you can just make it so people can't get out of the building in that case because they aren't going to be there, right? Yeah. And when it comes to residential, though, people are going to be living here. And all of our residential space has to be out of the base floor. We couldn't put units in the basement because that wouldn't be allowed from some of our funding because people need to live there. But if there's a fire while there's a flood, they need to be able to get out of the building now, right? And so those are a lot of considerations we had to make. And yes, it is a challenge of converting things. The other option is like we don't have floodproofing. Which then we can't get $3 million of the funding that we have, and we probably have to spend a lot more on flood insurance, right? And so we could have not done the flood proofing, but that's the trade-off, right? So. Band drum.
Yeah, all the memories.
Yeah. Cool. Oh, watch the dead bird. So these are the low-income housing tax credit units.
So you're going to have a mix of like low-income or workforce housing and what, market rate housing? Is that the plan?
So yeah, we're going to have units from targeting from 30% area median income all the way up to 120% area median income. So that's like the whole spectrum, right?
And how many units altogether? Did I hear 20?
22 middle income units targeting between 80 to 120% AMI, and 17 low income housing tax credit units that will target between 0 to 60% AMI.
Almost 40 housing units altogether.
Yep, 39. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
This was.
Right.
Cool.
Everything seems so much smaller.
Weird. The building must be shrinking.
This was chorus when I was here. This was chorus when I was here.
Oh, wow.
And so this will be an entrance to one of the apartments. So there will be a wall up. So that way we came in will be an access to 2 apartments. This will be access to 1 apartment. And right here in this area, that room right there is actually going to be used as a housing service coordinator space. So some of these units in the LIHTC condo are going to be targeted to people facing homelessness. And so this will provide a space for social service providers to meet with somebody outside of their unit and stuff.
Cool.
All right, we're going to go up. And so this will be a 1-bedroom apartment, which is a really cool spot. You can see Mount Anthony and SVC, and it's, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So you're going to leave all the windows?
All the windows have to stay because of historic preservation.
Right.
And that date on the chalkboard is the last day that this school was open.
Oh, wow.
Yep. So we just hit 20 years.
So what's going to happen to the blackboards? Are they going to?
We're going to take them down and put them back up.
Oh.
We have to take them down to get the asbestos out. So
Maybe this is a good spot to ask you that. I mean, of all the challenges that you had with this project, what are the 1 or 2 that really stand out as being the most difficult to kind of manage or get over or overcome? Is there, I mean, there must have been many, so probably this is a hard question. But
Yeah.
is there one or two that just stands out as like, wow, I mean, never anticipated that one, or how are we going to fix this problem? If you want to think about it for a while, well, we can come back to it.
Well, I mean, I come to the one that I'm faced with now. So it's like, because I'm still, I've been trying to I think it's probably the size of the project and has like outgrown my ability to perform on guarantees, and we've run out of funding sources to go after, and so we're looking at private equity, and I think that's been the hardest part of getting other people interested in a project that is extremely complex, and I am happy to sit down and explain it to somebody, but there's so many other opportunities to make investments that you don't have to spend that much time. And I think a lot of the people in Bennington who are willing to contribute to a project that they know will have a huge impact have made those investments already into other projects, and so it's been a little bit challenging to get over the finish line with that last bit of equity. We have just under $51 million that we've secured and raised and have ready to go with commitment letters or term sheets, and we have $800,000 left that we need to raise. That has been the most challenging. So I'd say that is the challenge.
Interesting. We also had a chance to talk with Shannon Barsotti, the Community Development Officer for the town of Bennington, about the project.
I think there is broad consensus that we need more indoor recreation space. It's been something that people have wanted for a long time. And that's sort of what prompted me to even just look inside of the building, was I knew there was this gymnasium inside and said, well, what's the condition? Like, let's check it out, And so that's kind of, how I got involved. But then of course, all of the other great things. I mean, the fact that it would create 39 new housing units and bring back a building that's just been vacant and derelict for so long that then there are other problems, right, around it when you have that kind of a structure that's vacant in the middle of a neighborhood and on Main Street. So I think people are rooting for it to happen. And, it's just a very complex project and it's very expensive, when you have to come in and kind of clean up the damage that's left when a building has been sitting for that long. It would have been great if there had been a way to reuse it, more quickly after the school left. But that's not where we are. Here's where we are. And we do have this opportunity with a lot of federal funding that is available right now. And so I think that's what I've been working on, is trying to figure out not only the ARPA funds, but what are other funding sources that the town, can apply for and bring into the project. And then of course, that's what Zach has been working on all this time to make it happen. And we're almost there. We're hoping for the financial closing to happen, I think February, March now. And then construction starting in April. If you look at across the board in Southern Vermont and the whole state, if we don't create more housing, it's very difficult to have economic development, because we're hearing from all kinds of employers, I can't hire people if they don't have a place to live. Right. And so I think that's a big component of it, is having, the 39 housing units, but also I think the childcare is another huge piece of that. So when you think about the multiplier effect of having more childcare spaces, you have more people who are able to go to work because they have childcare, and that just has an exponential effect on economic development as well. So I think that the housing and the childcare components were two really strong pieces of the Ben High project to get that designation through SEDS. Ben High is a very big, difficult project, and it's one aspect to do these large multi-unit, but also just, right, encouraging all kinds of development, the one extra apartment that someone has, or the garage apartment, or, the duplex, etc. I mean, we need all of the above. And we really are trying to work on that front. I mean, Zach convened a housing committee that's been meeting regularly that includes not only the folks that were kind of already working on affordable housing, like through the social services, but also the chamber and local realtors. And, everybody's going, oh, how can we figure this out? We really have to all be working together on it. The cost of the project may have increased, but the town's component has not, right? And so we're really working in every way possible to keep the cost still very reasonable for the Bennington taxpayers. And really, we've heard mostly support for the project. And I think that that's coming from kind of an array of sectors. You have people who are really happy with all the services that the Berkshire Family YMCA is providing. They're running all of the town's recreation programs. This will allow them to really offer exponentially more because they'll have a gymnasium and they'll have a childcare center that they're running. They'll have more room for after school programming, more senior programming in classes, a new fitness center. These are all things that the community really wants to see in addition to the housing. And then you just have people that are happy that the building is getting reused. And many people who went to school at Ben High that are like, oh, finally, something's happening to this building.
On a personal note, it was quite an experience to walk back through some of the hallowed halls of the building where, if only for 1 year, I attended high school before the new building, as we refer to the Mount Anthony Union High School, opened for school in September of 1967. And for Mike Cutler, who attended the middle school here and the last year was open as a middle school.
All right, Mike, we're back at the start of time here.
Yeah,
back
no.
when I was in high school here in 1966, 67, this was where we had study hall in this room here. And I remember the study hall teacher up there at the top telling us all to be quiet.
Quiet. Yeah, this was the library for me in 2001 through 2003. And you can see behind me, still says fiction, bios, reference, nonfiction. Yeah, it's quite a... brings back the memories.
Brings back all sorts of fond memories.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? I was thinking, as I was driving down here before I got here, I was thinking about, the memories of the place. One thing that always stood out to me was the other people in the school, my classmates, and the other kids who were here. It was like a real bunch of nice folks.
Yep. Yeah, no, I definitely think of, because coming here to the middle school is when, all the elementary schools combined, you met a lot of new people and kids and a lot of new friends and stuff. So all those memories come flooding back of those times. Yeah.
And some of the teachers, some of them I got along with a lot better than others.
Yep, yep. Yeah,
But they all
enjoy
did
my
good. They
teachers.
all did their job.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow, it's
Yeah.
it's quite interesting being back here again after all these years.
Just taking it in. Yeah, it's quite incredible.
It was a combination of trip down memory lane and a look into the future, as the old building is poised to take on a new life, providing housing and space for community interaction. For the GNAT-TV News Project, and with thanks to CAT-TV, I'm Andrew McKeever.